Job 600 on your screens now, telling you that we're still live here from Parliament House, waiting for the State of the Nation address to be delivered by the President. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Coming up later this morning, we'll bring you all you need to know about the address before, during, and after, right here on Joy News. In the meantime, we're still here on the AM show, and joining me now is a Deputy Chief of Staff, Mr. Samuel Abu Jinapor. Good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Before we even talk about the purpose for our gathering here at Parliament today, let's talk about something that's been making the rounds. Very famous is the bribery allegation. Is the presidency worried that a minister from this administration is having this whole alleged bribery incident hanging around him? Is it a concern?
Well, I don't know. I'm not too sure about concern. First of all, I think that I've known Mr. Honorable Akufo for several years. I know him to be a man of extraordinary integrity. There's a committee which has been set up by the Parliament of our country. I presume that will allow the committee to do its work. But I'm very confident that Honorable Akufo will come out squeaky clean, because I know him to be a man of integrity. As you know, there are clear separations of powers in our country: the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. This is a matter which, if you want, is within the confines of Parliament. Parliament is acting upon it. We just have to wait for the Committee of Parliament to come out with its reports.
But do you know how this whole thing came up? I mean, is when he was nominated and he appeared before the Appointments Committee, did you ever think that this whole thing was going to generate out of his appearance?
Well, what I think is that our country should be governed in accordance with the rule of law. We should allow our institutions to work. As you know, per the laws of our country, when a president nominates a minister, he has to be approved by Parliament. Parliament does so through a vetting via its Appointments Committee. The Appointments Committee did its work. Honorable Akufo came before the Appointments Committee. Some issues came up. He addressed them. Parliament approved him. I mean, that's it. The record is that the Parliament of our country approved Honorable Akufo as Minister of Energy. I mean, that is the record. Some persons made allegations of bribery, and in Parliament, the same institution, has set up a committee to investigate it. That's the extent to which I see. There's nothing more or less about it.
It doesn't dent the image of the presidency in any way?
No, not at all. But he's been approved by Parliament. Parliament itself has approved him. And some other person says there's an allegation of bribery. It's been investigated by Parliament itself. So no big deal.
And you're confident, that Parliament will resolve this issue amicably and exonerate your minister, if you like?
I don't want to prejudice the workings of the committee. But like I said, I know Akufo very well. I've known him for close to a decade. And I know him to be a man of integrity. That's all I can say for now.
Let's talk about Ghana 60, because you're a member of that committee. How much have you been able to raise so far?
I don't have those records now, but I do know that the private sector, individual Ghanaians, and corporate Ghana are responding very enthusiastically to the request of the President of the Republic and the chairman of the committee. And I do know that there have been some inflows, and some of them are still coming. And let me say, Joy News, you should come and make a donation. This is a worthwhile cause.
What's in it for anybody who decides to make a donation?
What is in it is that when you make a donation, you will be contributing to a Ghanaian undertaking, a Ghanaian cause, a Ghanaian project. And you recall in the famous Supreme Court election petition, when the Supreme Court asked KPMG to count pink sheets, and KPMG came out to state that they were not going to take a penny for it, and that it's going to be purely public service, national service on a pro bono basis. You have no idea the kind of mileage that they got. You can't put monetary value on it. The 60th anniversary, the 60th independence anniversary of our country is a national undertaking, it's a national project, it's a Ghanaian project by the Ghanaian people, and if anybody contributes to it, it gives that person a lot of mileage. The marketing people will tell you that you can't put monetary value on that kind of thing. And many companies have come. I know of a company that is, for instance, committed to fund the cultural display aspect of the celebration, because the president is instructed that we should put in place a package which will ensure that all the regions of our country demonstrate and display their cultures at the Independence Anniversary celebration. The company is taking over that bill, and I'm sure that when that is made public, that will
that will be for free.
Well, that's for free in monetary sense, but I think that it has a lot of value. That the Ghanaian people are celebrating something, and you contribute. So come and do free broadcasting for us, and free commentary. I know you are not cheap. Come and do it for us.
What's the least that somebody can contribute in terms of money, cash?
1 cedi.
Oh, for real?
One cedi. It's 1 cedi to the sky.
It's good that you've talked about cultural display, our own culture. We've heard, for instance, a foreign act headlining the musical concert. How true is this? Don Moen has come up, and some people say that he's the one who's going to be headlining when we have Ghanaian talents.
No. My understanding is that this gentleman's program or event is supposed to be a private initiative. It's supposed to be an event which is being put together by private entities. There are several organizations who have approached the Anniversary Planning Committee to organize one event or the other and sought for collaboration with the Anniversary Planning Committee. And they remain purely private undertakings, but they need our logo. They need to use our logo. They need to use a few other things from the committee, and in that respect, they've sought collaboration with the committee. This is in that category. I know that there are purely Ghanaian packaged events for the creative arts industry, for the music industry, for traditional enclaves, and the view is that all of that together will help to boost the tourism potential of our country. So don't be too worried about that. It is purely Ghanaian. And
no, but at least you've heard that that's generating a lot of concerns. People in the arts industry are worried that we don't find our own Ghanaian performers good enough to use them as the big headline.
Yeah, but I'm saying to you that this is not particularly an officially sanctioned event. I need to check though, but my understanding from my initial checks are that this is a privately organized event which is being done in collaboration with the 60th anniversary or with the blessing of the 60th anniversary planning committee. But the main events are going to be Ghanaian in nature, in all forms or shape of it.
Let's talk about President Akufo-Addo's first State of the Nation address. I'm sure you know what he's going to be saying today. What's our state really? What's he going to tell us?
He's going to essentially, when all is said and done, he's going to inspire hope. He's supposed to deliver the state of the Ghanaian nation. So certainly I expect that he will speak about the Ghana that he inherited, the state of the Ghana that he inherited.
How does it look?
Well, I think that there are a few things that are undoubted. There are a few things that we cannot quibble over. And there are a few things that there is a sense of unanimity as to what the state of Ghana was. Take, for instance, the economy of our country. It is very obvious. And I mean, this is undoubted. I mean, I think that all the pundits acknowledge that the Ghanaian economy has been in some difficulty when we took over the reins of governance. The Ghanaian economy has been in some difficulty. There's no two ways about that. Both the MPP, NDC, the international development partners, various economists and pundits all acknowledge that the Ghanaian economy is challenged. There's no two ways about that. Inflation was out of the roof. Economic growth had stagnated. We're growing, I think, 3% or so. The deficit had gone above almost 10%. Our debt to GDP ratio was almost 74%, which actually by World Bank standards was almost taking us into HAPEC status and the rest. Agriculture at a point in time grew at -%. At the time we came into office, and I think agriculture was growing at 2% or so. So the state of our economy and the state of our country on almost all fronts, really, is one that we all acknowledge is a challenge one.
But even with that, you've made some very huge promises.
Yes, I'm getting
the free
there.
SHS.
Yes, I'm getting
If you inherited such a poor economy, Why would you make
the free SHS is going to be rolled out in September. By then, would have been in office for how many months? 10 months in September, 8 months or so. In September, the free SHS will be rolled out in September. Now, haven't demonstrated or established the Ghana that the MPP and Akufo-Addo's government inherited, I think I associate myself entirely with the president's sentiments, which is articulated over and over again, that when you find yourself in a deep hole, it only gives you enough basis and enough motivation to roll up your sleeves and work hard. And it is indeed exactly what this government and the president of this republic intends to do. What we intend to do under the able leadership of the president is to roll up our sleeves and work hard and be fair by the Ghanaian people, deliver honest government, deliver a government of integrity, and ensure that all the actions and inactions of this government are intended towards the public good. And so you will hear from him today establishing the Ghana that he inherited. You will hear from him today giving a broad vision and a general framework within which he intends to govern this country. And you will hear on March 2nd from the finance minister the concrete measures that the government is going to put in place to pull this country out. And Mama, let me tell you, I've known the president for years. I've known him closely for years. And I've been very privileged and honored and humbled by the position he's given me, and that gets me to work very closely with him. This president means business, and he means well, and he's genuine. He's genuine at doing something different in this country.
Is he clear in his mind what he's going to use to fund the free SHS?
You see, there are certain policy decisions which are proper, which are in a proper scheme of doing things, supposed to be reserved for certain officers of state, as in the announcement of those policies. So, in the nature of free secondary education, the president, who is the leader of the government, has set his vision, and he said he wants free secondary education implemented September this year. And of course, the nuances and tenets of free SHS have largely been discussed by all of us. So we know why we need free SHS, the nature it's supposed to take, and so on and so forth. It's been an issue which we've battled over for years. The president is giving his commitment as to what he wants to do. It is now incumbent on his economic management team, led by our able vice president and the finance minister, to make these announcements. And the finance minister will be speaking to the nation on March 2nd.
But before that, is there some kind of confusion as to what fund we should use to take care of this? Because this is huge costs.
Yeah, in the MPP, what I do know that in the MPP we hold divergent views all the time. And on a single issue, you may find 10 people expressing passionate, divergent views. It's allowed.
So it's not some kind of disgrace to find the senior minister say something and the finance minister come to essentially disagree with him, that sort of thing?
I would have preferred that it was not played out in the public arena. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with the senior minister thinking that we should fund it from this source, and the finance minister thinking that it should be funded from that other source. At the end of the day, the budget that will be read on March 2nd will be a budget which will be approved by first the president and the cabinet of the president. The cabinet will discuss it, and the president, the buck stops to the president, as you know, and cabinet will discuss it. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with ministers of state or government officials holding divergent views as to the path that we should chart as a country or as a government. That actually should be encouraged. The whole notion that when ministers of state or government officials hold divergent views or contrary views or debate issues is a problem or marks of confusion in government, it's a problem. What is important is that once the decision is made, all members of the government should be seen either imaginary or actually in supporting the decision. If the decision was made and government officials were out there articulating divergent or contrary views, that would be a disgrace. But in the run-up to the decision taking, it is actually healthy and welcoming that government officials debate the issue so that we get the best out of it. I think that if it had not played out in a public arena, perhaps the better. But even the situation where it's played out in a public arena, in some respects, I think it's not bad because you found civil society groups, you found the media, you found ordinary Ghanaians debating the issues, which is really good for our country.
So is the president going to give us a clear cut as to what he's going to use to fund it? Is he going to touch on it today?
No, I don't expect the president to get into the nitty-gritties of policy. The nitty-gritty of policy, as in which road will be constructed, which water project will be done, as to which tax will be cut, as to how free secondary education will be funded. Those minute details will be reserved for the finance minister and the budget. The president is here to articulate his vision for this country. He's here to inspire the men and women of our country to have hope and to support his vision, support his government, lock into his vision, and get us on the path to prosperity. The president has been doing a few unique things, as you know. Quite some unique things which are, in my view, quite significant. In the way he's announced his cabinet, the time within which he's announced the cabinet, all of those are unprecedented. They are terribly, seriously unprecedented. The time frame within which he's constituted a government in the fourth Republican dispensation since 1992. He has constituted a government in record time. Look at 1993 when President J.J. Rawlings constituted his government. 1997 when he had a second term and constituted his government. 2001 President Kufuor constituted his government. 2005 when he had another opportunity. 2009 when President Mills. 2013 when President Mahama did. 2017 President Akufo-Addo has constituted a government in record time. It shows the seriousness with which he brings to this governance. Two, the manner in which he has announced his ministers, the transparency and the accountability of it, telling the people who they are, why he nominated them, and what he expects of them. Today you will hear from a president articulating a vision and inspiring hope and giving confidence to our people. And over the period, you've seen from the president's speeches that he's really taking the bull by the horn. And I'm very confident.
Is his format going to follow that of former President John Dramani Mahama?
Which is?
I think not the very last one. I think the very last one was his last. But before that, there was a point where we had a few shout-outs where he was acknowledging different people. Are we going to find the president, call out names, and get them to
stand up,
for acknowledgement and all sorts of that?
No, I'm not too sure about that.
We're not going to see that happen today.
Sure
is it going to be brief? How long is it going to be?
Well, those details too, I'll reserve it for the president.
Oh, the time is almost...
Well, but don't let me take the...
Are we going to go like 3 hours?
No, don't let me take the...
Are we going to go like 3 hours?
Don't let me take the excitement and the anxiety and all of that.
So I take it that this is going to be brief.
It's going to be about an hour to the time when the president will deliver this speech. Let's just leave it to him.
So he's going to do things within an hour and a half, I take it.
I've done this long enough.
Give me something. But I'm grateful.
I've done this business long enough for you to corner me. I don't know. No comment, just a comment.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
For passing through. We wait to hear details of what the president has to say, and hopefully we can speak after. That's Samuel Abu Jinapor, and he is a Deputy Chief of Staff with this administration. Stay with us. Roland Walker comes up next. We've got lots of things to come your way right here from inside Parliament.